Welcome students to this class of Introduction to your Database System. Before we learn about the database system, we should understand certain terms like what is the basic difference between a data and an information. Now look at all this data that I have presented over here. If I ask you like does it make any sense to you, you will be probably saying that you can say anything. Of course this looks like some names, right? But do you know what are these? Because these may be, for example, it can be an age, okay, it can be a mark. You don't know what these numbers represents, right? Of course some make sense, like this one, like pass and fail. You can guess it that okay, that may be the um, that may be a field which is describing whether a student has passed or failed, but rest of them it doesn't make any sense to us. So this kind of means this kind of numbers and so called your some strings is what represents a data. Now suppose I give to this is what is the data for us, right? Now if I give some attributes to them, so then it becomes information. So how does it become an information? So let's say I do this. I've actually cut certain part of this document, so let me just paste certain things. Now the moment I paste this information right on top, what happened is that now this data has become an information for you. For example, now if I ask you, can you tell me the marks of English mark of the student by the name Mary? You will be immediately saying that okay, you will find where the name Mary is, and then you will find a corresponding column where it says 40. So that's what is the mark. So now I'm asking you a query and you are giving me some answers based on these data only, and that's why it became an information. So if I ask you, did this student James pass or fail, you can immediately look into the data and you can look at the data with its attributes. If this was not there, then maybe it wouldn't have make that much of sense, right? So right now you can tell me that okay, if I look at it, yes, the student by the name James has passed, because we are seeing the information in relation to all of these fields, right? Now if I ask you a complex question, so if I ask you something like, can you tell me the number of students who got more than 40 in English but less than 20 in, or less than 30 in computer? Now my question is very complicated, and for that, if you want to search, this is a small data, right? This is a small data, you can say, and like it has got only 10 records over there, right? Each this is called row, right? Each row is called a record, so only 10 records are there. So here you can still somehow, you will sit for maybe half an hour and then you can figure it out what I wanted as a question, and you can tell me the information. But suppose this data was, maybe I have around 40,000 records, maybe 50,000 of records, right? Then I ask you a question that can you tell me how many students got more than 60 in English and more than 80 in science and also less than 90 in computers? If I ask you queries this complex, then it will take many hours for you, maybe days, maybe months for you to figure it out in this format of data. So here when you store information in this format, you cannot do much. This is what is a normal it's a text document where I am storing the data. So if I store the data in this format, then I cannot give the information that I have been asking. Complex information, simple information maybe you can give me. So in that case, that's when we need something called a database system. So that's where you will be learning about something called MySQL. MySQL is a particular database system which helps us to keep all this record in the same way like I'm keeping over here, but then I can use a language that is called your structured query language, SQL, and with the help of that language we can extract data. How complex, you may ask me, your query, but I can still extract the data and I can give you that information. That's because you have to learn something called the structured query language, and that's what we'll be doing in this class of database management system. So this video is all about introducing you to what is data and information and why do we need a database system. So as I have shown you the difference between data and information, when data has got no attributes, as I said, if there was no attributes, this makes no sense to us. These are pure data which represent some number and some string information. But the moment I put some attributes as such, then it makes sense to me and I can ask questions based on this. But this application is nothing but this is a Word document, right? So this with the help of a Word document, I cannot solve complex queries. Simple queries like, okay, tell me the name of student who got let's say 32.5% as an average. Okay, then you can just search over there and you can see the student name and you can tell me about it. But when I try to ask you complex question, this is not the application which can solve that problem. So there are various database systems in the world which can be used. MySQL is one of the renowned database system, and the best part about MySQL is that it's free and it's open source. That means you don't pay a single money to penny also to buy that database system, and it is very capable of dealing with very big data also, not just small information. Even if 40-50,000, that doesn't matter for that kind of database system. So I will just show you one example over here, like the same thing. What I'll do is that I have, this is another kind of a where we can keep some information. Can you see this? I think most of you know about this application. This is what is called Microsoft Excel, right? So this is also storing the data. Here I can do some, this is much more better than your Word document over here. Why? I can do some kind of filtering and those information that I have asked you. Like suppose I ask you that, okay, give me the name of those students which has got marks more than let's say maybe 40 in science. All right, then I can do something, that is I can put something called filtering, though that's not a part of your syllabus, but I am just showing you. You can just select your, these are the attributes, right? And then you can go to the data and you can just click on this one, filter. All right, now this filter comes up over here. Now as I said, I want only those students whose science marks is greater than 40. So what you can do is that you can go for maybe your I'll just make some complex this one. So right now everything is selected, I don't want that. Okay, so what I'll do is that just to show you all, let me just arrange the things. All right, right. Okay, now as I said, number filters. So I said whose numbers, I think I said greater than or equal to, let's say I want greater than, is greater than or equal to, let's say 60. All right, and I give okay. Now see, very nicely it has arranged the data and it tells me these are the names of the students. All right, whose, you can you see that science marks is greater than 60. Let's make the query much more complex. I want those students whose science marks are greater than 60 but maths marks should be greater than 80. That means again I'll just click on this one. All right, then you can go to the number of this one and you say greater than equal to, as I said, 80, right? And then I click OK. Can you see these are the students whose science mark is greater than 60 as well as mark. So this is also a very good database system, you can see. But Excel is not meant for exactly a database system. It can do a lot more than what I showed you over here. Here you cannot do anything such that I cannot do any filtering and all, because this is a normal Word document. But Excel looks far better than this one because I can do some filtering and all. But still this is not as good as your MySQL. So when we will be doing this MySQL revision or MySQL queries and all, you will be realizing that we can use a lot of other things that can solve a much more complex. Here at least it is solving me this, but when it comes to other complex things, Excel may not be the good choice. All right, so let me show you again what does an Microsoft so not Microsoft SQL, MySQL looks like. So this is what is a part of a MySQL. It's called a workbench. Now don't get carried away by this, but workbench is just, I'm just showing you, but later on you'll be seeing everything in a command prompt. All right, just to show you the same database, what I did is that I have created over here. So here is a database by the name test database, and inside this we have tables. So one of the tables is called student data. That's the only table that is there. So if I say select rows, you can see that I can see the rows over there. same thing that is there. Now can you see that it says select star from test database. This is the query, and you will be learning these things, how this works. Now you can make your query complex. So if I say where, okay, I'm making a query. Can you see that I'll type where, let's say uh, CI in science, okay, is I think I made a mistake while creating it. Anyway, science is greater than 60, fine. And if I run this query, right, can you see that it has found out only those where science is greater than 60. And I can make another one, let's say and, like the previous case, and maths, I think capital, maths, okay, is greater than 80. Remember, that was my query. So see, I wrote something. Here is the query: select star from test database dot student data where science is greater than 60 and maths is greater than 80. Now I run the same query. See, if I click on this one, oops, I made a mistake. You can see that there is an error code. You have an error. It will always tell you. All right, so let me just correct the mistake. I think my this one is okay. Let me just remove this part first. Okay, so let's, okay, if I, sorry, I give delete and I press end. Sorry, I'm making a mistake. Okay, and I say execute. Okay, so here it comes. Okay, so and where science is greater than 60, okay, and it was math is greater than 80, so this is the case, right? And I run this. Oops, there is again a mistake, but don't worry about it, I will fix it. Okay, that's because I know what that mistake is, because while creating this, sorry, I made a this, I'll close the bracket. Okay, and I run it again. So that was my mistake here. Okay, okay, can you see that it is giving me that record whose maths is greater than 80 and science is greater than this one 60, right? Isn't it the same record that I got over here Excel also, but I'm getting the same record over here also, that is in the MySQL. But this time what I did, I run a query. So you're in this syllabus, you will be learning about how we can write. Now these queries can become very complex. You can use very complex queries in order to solve or in order to answer certain questions from the set of data that you have. Now in this following videos, next you will be learning how we create these tables. So this is a table through commands. Everything will be through command. This is a graphical. So this is a very good part about MySQL, is that you have this workbench which creates a graphical environment. Just click, 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 and things work, right? But you can make, but in a real world, what we do is that we can use this workbench, but we like to use the command prompt, that is to write the commands, because when you are making database applications for any job, then what you have to do is that you have to know the SQL query, and that's what we'll be learning. So this is an introduction. Here you understood the difference between data and information, and how one this application, that is MySQL, is far better, or it's better than any other applications like Word and Excel that I was talking about, which also can store data but cannot solve a query processing, for which we need a database application such as MySQL. So thank you.